The GOP is a, quote, a cult worthy of Jonestown. That's a quote coming from John Podesta, former Clinton chief of staff, and now set to be a new top advisor to the Obama administration. Conservatives are up in arms that John Podesta is going to be entering the Obama administration. They're replaying this quote of his, the GOP is a cult worthy of Jonestown. That's a brilliant quote. I got to say, I haven't seen anything that to warm my heart as much as that one quote in the last couple of weeks. The fact that the Obama administration is finally bringing some people in who get it, I think is fantastic news. And perhaps Podesta can really knock some heads together in the White House and make those people realize that Republicans are not simply members of another party. They are not simply good-spirited Americans who have different views. They are, in fact, members of a dangerous cult. And they are extremists, and they are dangerous, and they need to be treated accordingly. They should not be treated with respect. They should not be negotiated with. They should be treated as if they were cult members. Now, I don't know if John Podesta really means this. He's now sort of backing off the quote. But something tells me he does really believe it. And I think that's a fantastic, fantastic sign coming out of Washington. All this Pope bashing just warms my heart, I have to tell you. But it's coming from a slightly different direction these days. Now, Ann Coulter is blasting the Pope. She says he'd be a better CNN host than he would be a Pope. Prominent American conservative after conservative is trashing this Pope because this Pope apparently has a few liberal bones in his body. But I think the real lesson here, of course, is that deep down, conservatives hate religion and they hate God. Who knew? Pat Buchanan continuing to generate headlines now in about his fifth decade of punditry. I have a soft spot in my heart for Pat Buchanan because I do think he's a smart person. He has a coherent vision. He's not just a Republican hack. I think he's about 10,000 times better than a Sean Hannity. So I always find him interesting, even though I typically don't ever agree with him. He's talking about Putin, the dictator of Russia, and basically praising him. He says that this is Putin. He's one of us. Now, why does Pat Buchanan suddenly love a former commie? It's because this former commie loves to bash gay people. And Pat Buchanan obviously can't stand gays, blacks, Jews, non-Christians. He likes his own tribe, folks. And he apparently really likes Vladimir Putin, another white guy who's constantly bashing homosexuals and trying to make their lives more difficult through legislation and laws. It really is amazing when you think of all the energy conservatives spent attacking communism over the years, and now they've kind of morphed into the same thing. Well, Harold Camping is dead at age 92. This is the TV evangelist, radio evangelist, who made a whole career out of predicting the end of the world, and what do you know, he was wrong every single time. Now, I don't know if you've ever seen this guy, but he used to be on a number of TV channels. He bought time on networks. He bought time on individual stations. And I loved watching it because it was like a parody of a really bad TV evangelist. First of all, he looked like he was 192 10 years ago. And he had this bizarre, monotone, squeaky, cranky voice where he was just hectoring people all of the time. Not the most charismatic TV personality, but I got to tell you, anybody who is able to be on the airwaves for more than 40 years, as he was, had something going for him as a public speaker. He was able to look people in the eye and get them to give him gigantic boatloads of money. Now, he might not have ever raised as much money as Joel Osteen, but you don't stay on the radio airwaves for decades without being a slick talker in some way or another. Oh, happy holidays indeed. If this doesn't show the true spirit of Christmas among so-called Christians, I don't know what does. A bell ringer, a Salvation Army bell ringer, was assaulted by a woman. This happened out in Phoenix because the bell ringer for the Salvation Army said Happy Holidays instead of Merry Christmas. This woman was Christina Vindiola, was ringing a bell outside of a Walmart. And apparently a woman was so annoyed, she said, "You're supposed to say Merry Christmas." And she apparently then smacked the woman. It's caught on video. Yes, folks, the real Christian spirit, the real Christmas spirit of so-called Christians. Folks, what's really going on here with this so-called phony, fake war on Christmas? What it's really all about, what Bill O'Reilly is about, is a shrinking demographic. Bill O'Reilly is an old, white, ostensibly Christian, although not in his personal life. And old, white Christians just, especially old, white, male, straight Christians, just hate the fact that they don't get to rule the roost anymore. They don't get to control all the shots. They don't get to control the White House. They don't necessarily always get to be Speaker of the House anymore. They just can't stand it. And they hate the fact that this country has Jews, has Muslims, and what bothers them most of all is that atheists and secular humanists no longer have to hide under rocks in this country. So yeah, there is a war, and it's being perpetuated by this despicable person out in Phoenix who actually hit a woman for saying Happy Holidays. Utterly despicable, but that's what you had to expect from conservatives these days, especially conservatives who pretend to believe in, Christianity or any religion. I'm TJ Walker. Thanks for joining me. Post your comments. Please give suggestions on topics you'd like to see covered right here.